Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of College Football Under Review, a show made by a football fan for football fans everywhere. And this is our Week 0 preview episode. Yes, we are now coming out with 2 episodes a week, rolling into college football. And throughout the whole season, we will give you 2 episodes per week during the regular season. Come bowl game, it'll kind of be a little bit different, but that's way too far in the future to even predict. So, for our first preview episode, since it is week 0 and we don't have as many kind of good matchups, really, we just have the one Farmageddon being the kind of key matchup. More of this episode will kind of be recent news that does have to deal with the future of college football and just some housekeeping items. So for our first preview episode, we're going to be taking a look at, yes, the recent news surrounding Auburn retiring Cam Newton's jersey and congratulating them on winning officially 9 national championships, as they have added 4 more and have officially claimed 3 others. So a total of 7 that they're officially claiming now, as they kind of enter a new prestige of college football in a certain category. And we'll discuss that later. And we also have the Big Ten discussing the idea of a 20-plus playoff format. And then the SEC is moving to a 9-conference game schedule next season in 2026. And lastly, we're going to be taking a look at the Week 0 debut game, Farmageddon in Ireland, for the 2025 season as the inaugural game. All this and more as we take college football under review. So Auburn has been making moves in the history department of their university's football program. Now, before we go into the national titles, first off, I just want to say congratulations to Cam Newton on getting his jersey retired, and I think it's been a long time coming. Now, I may be a Bama fan, but we can all agree he was a dominant force on the football field and almost solely led Auburn to a national championship. So, I mean, we can't just deny that he was an offensive beast. He had 30 passing touchdowns and 20 rushing touchdowns in his 2010 national championship and Heisman winning season, throwing for almost 3,000 yards and rushing for over 1,400. He's a man, he's a myth, he's a legend, he's Cam Newton. Some of his awards include the 2010 Heisman Trophy, the 2010 Maxwell Award, all of these are in 2010, the Walter Camp Award, Davey O'Brien Award, AP College Football Player of the Year, Sporting News Player of the Year, 2010 Consensus All-American, and 2010 First Team All-SEC. Now, the other story outside of Auburn retiring Cam Newton's jersey, that will be against Auburn October 11th. And that other story is that the athletic director, John Cohen, came out in a statement proclaiming earlier this week that Auburn is acknowledging and claiming that they have now 9 national championship teams. And in his quote, this is what he said: "For too long, Auburn has chosen a humble approach to our program's storied history, choosing to recognize only Associated Press national championships. Starting this fall, we have made the decision to honor the accomplishments of our deserving student athletes, coaches, and teams from Auburn's proud history. Our visible national championship recognitions now align with the well-established standard used by the NCAA's official record book and our peers across the nation." That was John Cohen earlier this week. So Auburn has always had 1957 and the 2010 national championship teams displayed on Jordan-Hare Stadium, and has had the years of 1913, 1983, and 1993, all titles inside the program's media guide. So these are the 4 years that they are kind of coming out and adding. And those are 1910, 1914, 1958, and 2004. Now, with me personally, I don't have much of a gripe with any national championship claims pre-AP poll, which was first established in 1936. So 1910, 1914, I mean, yeah, go ahead and claim it. I mean, Alabama, I'm an Alabama fan, and we have so many claimed ourselves. But it's the 1958 and 2004 that are kind of up in the air for me. And you may say, oh, well, you don't know those teams. It's like, well, yeah, I was 3 for 2004, and I wasn't even thunk up yet, or my parents in 1958. So yeah, I don't know how good these teams were. I didn't get to watch them play. Now, in 1958, it's claimed the national champion is claimed by LSU in the AP poll, as they went 11-0, and Auburn went 9-0-1. So I really don't agree with this. They tied Georgia Tech that year 7-7, and LSU has one more win, or 2 more wins than them, and no losses or no ties. So I feel like they have more of an outright argument and pedigree for that year. And in 2004, we had a national championship game, and this was when the BCS era was established. So I think this can be thrown out the window and is kind of ludicrous, even though some argue that Tommy Tuberville and that Auburn team should have been in the national championship game. I'm sorry, you weren't. So I just really don't argue with this, because you can say we were better than USC, who won the national championship. Well, you didn't get to prove it. I'm sorry. And you're just going to have to bite the bullet. But it doesn't matter anymore, because you're officially claiming it. And I think this move made now is one, because John Cohen, I think he's a pretty smart athletic director, and I think he knows what he's doing. And I think this move is also due to the shifting of kind of name, image, and likeness for younger recruits, and kind of propping Auburn up to be one of these upper echelon type of programs that had in the prestige talk and national championship talk of football programs around the nation. And I think Auburn's kind of realizing they maybe need to keep up with bigger markets. I understand they're an SEC team. They're a big market, but there are a lot bigger markets out there. And I think those are the ones they're trying to keep up with, because Hugh Freeze hasn't been doing such a great job recruiting. But when we're discussing about this upper echelon of prestige and national championships, the top 2 programs with claimed national championships are Princeton and Yale. This was because when the game was first established after World War II, these were the 2 dominant powerhouses. Now they're in the Ivy League and they're not doing much. But Alabama is the first kind of blue blood up there in 3rd with 18 claimed national championships. I know a lot of people say that it's really 15, but Auburn's saying they got 9. We've got 18. We've got double. And then Michigan, they have 12. So they're kind of in the double digits. Notre Dame and South Carolina are both at 11. So they are also the last 2 teams in the double digit range. All 4 of these programs are seen as blue bloods, in my opinion. And I think a consensus around the nation would be, yes, those 4 programs, Alabama, Michigan, Notre Dame, University of Southern California, are all powerhouses and blue bloods. But Auburn is now in the 4th category with 9. And they're up there with the likes of Ohio State and Pitt. So now Auburn can claim that they have the same amount of national championships as Ohio State. That's the Ohio State, yes. Now, that's a bit of an argument that you can make when a recruit is coming there. Oh, you're looking at Ohio State? We have the same amount of national championships. Just come here and you'll win another one. And then below them, it's seven national championships. It's Harvard, Minnesota, Penn, and Oklahoma. And then 6, we have Tennessee and Michigan State. So it's pretty nice to see that now Auburn has the 2nd most national championships in the SEC now, which is another bragging point that they can use to help with recruitment. All in all, I think Auburn is just making a media move, trying to make some buzz before the 2025 season starts. And maybe they need something to cheer for because maybe they're not confident in Hugh Freeze. It's that freeze warning, man. And it's hitting Auburn. But next piece of news is the Big Ten's playoff expansion talks. And well, the Big Ten, revolutionary idea. Let's add double the amount of teams for the playoffs. Wow, what a great idea. No, it's not. So the news was leaked on Saturday before many of the commissioners in the other 9 college football conferences were informed personally by the Big Ten commissioner, Tony Petitti. This kind of like whole leak, which they call it a leak. I think it was made to be leaked to kind of put it out there and hit the news running to kind of put Big Ten in this narrative that they're in the driver's seat for the discussion and they kind of are the big thinkers. They're the deep thinkers. No, you're not. You're just adding more teams for more money. But this whole leak has made the discussions probably more volatile and has intensified everyone's just frustration with each other in the conferences and figuring out what they are going to do with the college football playoff. So the SEC was informed later, but the other conferences were left out until it was leaked. So this definitely puts it in kind of the Big Ten knows it needs the SEC, but there's all this SEC athletic directors. They want automatic qualifiers, but the coaches seem like they don't want automatic qualifiers because it hurts their chances of getting in the playoffs. So before all this kind of happened and the SEC media days and spring meetings happened, it seemed that everyone was pretty content with the idea of a 16-team playoff being the new expansion come 2026. And the Big Ten and SEC kind of hold the decisive power on the playoff board. Now, the big thing to look at and think about is if the conferences cannot make up their mind by December 1st and come to a conclusion on what the playoffs are going to look like by 2026, then we will be stuck at a 12-team playoff until 2032. So the current format that we are going into this year will be going all the way for 7 years. And that's if they can't come to a conclusion. So it's not like the world's going to freeze over. No, we're going to have college football. We're going to have a playoff. The minimum, though, and the floor will be 12. Now, the Big Ten model, it's very interesting. So we're going to go through it. The first one is that you get 7 automatic qualifiers for each the Big Ten and SEC. So both would get 7 automatic qualifiers. That's about half of those conferences. And then the second one is 5 apiece for the ACC and Big 12. And then the rest of the slots, the group of 6 would receive 2 berths, and 2 more teams would get at-large spots. And the format would rid of conference title games. And this playoff would begin in early December with campus sites hosting the first 2 rounds. Now, let's definitely look at how this model affects college football. The first one is bowl games and conference championships. These are the biggest things at risk with this new model. And I believe that this kind of disassembly of the conference championships really diminishes the season, the play, and the competition that college football is surrounded by. This isn't the NFL and would kind of be the early stages of making divisions for a larger Power 4 style of league that I believe the Big Ten is wanting to achieve later down the road. Now, with bowl games in mind, 82 college football teams participated in bowl games last season, and there was a 14% increase in viewership for bowl games outside of the college football playoffs. That's pretty good. I mean, the games last season in the bowl games, in the bowl season, was actually really fun. A lot of them went down to the wire, but they've kind of gotten to an kind of awkward stage. It's kind of these players trying to boost their draft stock that are kind of on the edge, and then also players opting out. So you kind of get this hint as to what the future could hold for your team, but then you just get hit with the transfer portal and you're like, well, I don't even know what we're doing again. But all in all, I'm just going to get on a rant on the bowl games if I do that. But one of my favorite times of the year. I mean, it's Tuesday and I'm watching college football. What else is better? So next is the ESPN and the TV deals. We have to all look at and agree ESPN is pretty big, especially when it comes to college football. So ESPN signed a $7.8 billion deal with the college football playoff all the way up until 2028. And it is unclear really if this 24 kind of playoff could be split or other networks could try and buy some of these games, because if they don't, ESPN would have a large chunk of revenue that is really only going to slowly increase their monopoly over the sports entertainment world. And I think 10 years ago, we all really could enjoy seeing more ESPN. But lately, it seems that their shows have declined in, how I would say, substance and what's the word? Oh, yeah. Intellectual thought when it comes to sports. I don't want to sit here and watch Stephen A. Smith scream about college football. Okay. Yeah. I mean, he's a master entertainer, but I don't want him to play solitaire watching the college football national championship and then make an egregious take at halftime. I just don't want to see it. Now, the SEC athletic director, there's a quote from an SEC, I'm going to restate this. There's a quote from an SEC athletic director who talked to CBS Sports, and this is from CBS Sports. Realistically, there are probably only 8 to 12 teams across the country that have a legitimate chance to win the college football playoff championship in any given year. So to imply that there are 6 to 8 Big Ten teams that are deserving of the opportunity to participate in the playoff is a huge stretch. I agree with this. I think that the 12-team playoff will actually work fine for now, and we don't need to rush to expand it just because revenue and everything seemed successful. If they decide to expand it, I think we should only go to 16, and it should be this 5-11 format. 5 automatic qualifiers, 11 at-large bids, with the at-large bids really being the focus on the playoffs so that teams who deserve the chance and fought and got to the playoffs are represented. I don't care about the it's when you get to that 7th team, it's like, do I really want to see let's put it this way. A fringe Florida just get absolutely dominated in the first round? No, it doesn't make any sense. No one wants to see a middle of the pack Big Ten or SEC team get dominated in a playoff game that basically would replace a heated and competitive and hard-fought conference championship. And it just ruins the prestige of that. Now, wrapping all of this in a pretty little bow, the college football playoff has a hard deadline of December 1st. We're stating that again. They have to figure it out by December 1st to set its format from 2026 all the way to 2032. That doesn't even sound like a real date. Wow. 2032. That's coming up. Wow. Without agreement, the playoff will stay at 12 teams with 5 spots reserved for the highest ranked conference champions and 7 at large. So the SEC is now going to a 9-game conference schedule, not this season, but next season they're going to be starting it. And so the athletic directors adopted this after kind of some pressure from the Big Ten and the Big 12, although the Big 12 wasn't kind of pressuring them, but the Big 12 also has 9 in-conference games. And this is a very interesting 9-game format in the rules and structure that they have going forward after this season. So under the 9-game format, each SEC team will play 3 permanent conference opponents and rotate through 6 others each season. This is already something I like, as Texas has a freaking easy schedule and we need to get these teams rotating. So we're going to give you all the aspects that come into this. The first one is that it is starting in 2026. So it is going to be set in stone next season. This season, last year, that we will see 8 conference games. Second thing is each team will play 9 games, 3 permanent opponents. These are all going to be protected rivals. Don't have to worry about it. Each team's other 6 opponents will rotate among the league's 10 remaining schools that you do not play. Each team, and then fourth, each team will face every other SEC program at least once every 2 years, and every opponent home and away every 4 years. So we are actually getting some structure that makes sense. And then here's the last one that's a very interesting aspect of the rules. Each team is required to play at least one Power 4 opponent or Notre Dame every year. I think that this last one shows us that the SEC is not wanting their programs to play easy non-conference games that make their case for the playoffs less appealing, since they had 3 teams on the cusp of a playoff berth last season, and they desperately want to beat or tie the Big Ten for the most representation in the playoffs, or the Big Ten is going to kind of have this leg up on them. So the ACC is now the only Power 4 conference that does not have 9 in-conference games. So it's probably going to be a domino effect, and the ACC will probably bend the knee and make all Power 4 conferences universally have a 9-game conference slate. Now, this move, in my opinion, now gets us even closer to the Power 4 league in the distant future that there was hints and rumors about and think pieces about very early in the offseason. And we now kind of see all of these leagues begin to work in tandem, maybe, as not to lose power, but more importantly, money. I believe it's safe to say that with NIL and revenue sharing being a standard within the sport, we're seeing an era that can only be described as I would put it, an arms race. Now, the obvious answer for this arms race and what they are racing for is money. But I believe that there is something below the surface going on that I and us as a college football community haven't realized yet. And I really have been starting to think piece on that. And it'll be in the back of my mind for the next couple of days, weeks, months, maybe even years until it actually happens. So why was this move made? We have to look at this before we end this conversation. It all has to do with the fact that the college football playoff introduced a new strength of record kind of metric for 2025, which is going to give more points for teams with victories over higher quality opponents, while not giving as many points, but not hurting as many teams for losing against strong opponents at the same time. So the playoff executive director, Rich Clark, said that the changes are intended to help the committee construct a postseason bracket that recognizes the best performances and teams on the field during the regular season. So I think it makes all the sense that the SEC is going to force their teams to play another Power 4 opponent so that they have a better chance and have better scores, metrics, whatever you want to call it, numbers to make the playoff. They're in that arms race to gain power, revenue for being in that spot, and they are going to do everything they can to get a leg up over the Big Ten, because down there in the SEC and where I'm living currently, it just means more. And so, with all of our news out of the way, all the boring stuff, we got college football. We have Under Review's Game of the Week. And it's the only Power 4 matchup this coming week as week 0. It is being played in Dublin, Ireland. I don't think I did a very good accent right there, so we're going to move past that. And it is kicking off the 2025 college football season. This game is, in my opinion, really going to feature each offense as the mainstay for the game and how each team has evolved from the previous season with their respective quarterbacks. Rocco Becht with Iowa State is a junior with a strong football intellectual mind, which is needed because he has all new receivers. So that is going to be the key for the Iowa State offense, is can he connect with these receivers against Kansas State's defense? Now, Kansas State on the other side on the offense with Avery Johnson, their quarterback, is going to have a strong offense that will carry them into a positive season, though the defense may fall short in this game outside of the D line. So when we're looking at this week 0 matchup, and it's the first week, you never really know what's going to happen in these first matchups, especially with teams so even, in my opinion. But there are a couple of key factors that I think edges one team over the other. And Iowa State last season went to the Big 12 championship and had an away record of 5-2. And this was combined with an injury-prone season. Now, with how many players they have returning and Rocco Becht breaking records at Iowa State, don't be shocked if he is going to try and make a push for another great season. This team can only improve, though, if he cannot connect with his receivers and this Kansas State D-line's pass rushing attack. God, sorry. Their pass rushing attack is too strong. That could tip the line, but I just think Iowa State, they've got it, man. I think they're going to do really well. I think they are going to possibly be in the Big 12 championship race. And this game really decides who is in the driver's seat for the conference come the beginning of the season, because they don't really start their in-conference season until week 3. So I think Iowa State is going to continue the success they had coming off of last season, and it is going to continue into this season. And Rocco Becht is going to light up the Kansas State secondary and put Iowa State in the driver's seat for the Big 12 title race. Now, I believe most betting apps or bookies have Kansas State favored by 3.5 or 2.5. I think Iowa State's going to win this game comfortably. And when I say that, I think they're going to win by a touchdown or 10 points. I just think that they are going to confidently be ahead in this game the whole time, and Kansas State is going to be right there with them. I just think that Iowa State is, by the beginning of the third quarter, is going to just put it on and kind of put the game not away, but in a comfortable position and just ride it until the end. And so I have Iowa State winning by about 10 points, touchdown, 7 to 10 points. Now, some of the other games that will be on this week 0 Saturday after the Ireland game that should be kind of good and fun group of 5 matchups with, power fours are at 5:30 p.m. Central Time. Yes, we're in Central because Central Time is the best time. Fresno State is going to be at Kansas. It's going to be interesting on how Lance Leopold and his offense and their quarterback is going to look after they had a rocky first half of last season and then a successful second half of the season that gives them hope for this year. Fresno State, they're going to put up a fight, but nothing crazy is going to happen. And then at 6 p.m., Sam Houston is going to be at 6 p.m. Central. Sam Houston is going to be at Western Kentucky. I think this should be a very good group of 5 matchup. I believe both of these teams are kind of in the favorites to win their conference, but I think Western Kentucky is just going to be more dominant and win that game. And then 6:30 p.m. Central Time, Stanford at Hawaii. Yep, I know it's not going to be a crazy game, but it's going to be on late at night, going to go until hopefully 10:30. And Stanford has won this matchup the last 4 years in a row, so I've got Stanford beating Hawaii. Hawaii just hasn't been the same since Colt Brennan left. So those are kind of the other games that I think will be fun to watch, interesting to watch. But nothing is going to come close, hopefully, to the game in Ireland, which I think is the first kind of week 0 game where we actually get a true fun kind of conference matchup that has implications for the rest of the season. Me personally, I would never want my team to be in week 0 because it would really stink to go into week 1 already being behind everyone else. And I just don't see the gain of that week 0 win kind of outweighs getting another week to be ready for week 1 college football. But last year, the Georgia Tech Florida State game, that was a really good one. And then the Notre Dame Navy one, that I think that one was interesting for about 5 minutes, and then it was like, okay, geez. So what other games are on? Oh, wait, that's right. It's week 0. So I'm glad we actually have a good game come week 0, and the football is finally back. Football is back, baby. Woo! We're back. We are so back. I'm Nick Watts. Thank all of you for tuning in to this episode, and we'll see you next time on Sunday when we take college football under review after week 0. Come on with your bad self. Let's go college football.